En kunnen jullie al een beetje, verstaan jullie Engels?
Ja.
Ja? Ook de mensen uit Hattem ook? Ja? Dat komt wel goed? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an utmost honor to present to you, all the way from the United States of America, here is So Great!
Keep it going, never Christian. Thank you so much. You begrijp it, yeah? Okay. Because if not, it becomes a whole lot harder. So yeah, my name is Socrates. I am an American. Yeah. Have you guys been watching the news or? Yeah, me too. I left a long time ago for some very obvious reasons. And so if you're wondering, I got to address it right off the bat. I've been living here since 2009, about 13 years. So I speak Dutch Nederlands, but the comedy is easier in English for me. And I've been trying to learn my Dutch. I was recently forced to learn a new word in Dutch. That word was aangereden. And used in the sentence is, ik ben aangereden door een scooterklootzak. Normally I would explain that because most of the audience doesn't quite get it, but tonight I don't think I really have to. You can help me though. I've been trying to learn a new word. The word frequently, fuck, is that correct? Like, the train is late? Fuck! I thought of that while I was waiting for a train earlier tonight. But yeah, I had a little problem on my bike. Again, things you don't think you have to teach people, like what a fietspad means. You guys know, right? Fietspad, it's for bikes. You know? Basic rule of the fietspad, you don't drive a car on it. 59-year-old guy from Apeldoorn, no idea. You know, so you can imagine my surprise when I'm riding my bike and I look up and there's this car driving on the fietspad, and I thought it seemed odd. And then there was a scooter, also on the fietspad, but he thought the car was even odder, so he was looking at the car. And then I came around that blind corner, and then there was a scooter, and I wanted to explain to them that first of all, this is a bike path, you shouldn't drive your car on it, and if you're driving a scooter, you should pay attention to where you're going. But what I said was, ah! And then there was a smashing noise, I remember that distinctly. Then there was a long pause that was like the flying part, which was actually kind of cool. Thinking back on it, it lasted longer than I thought it would have. And that landed with the crashing part and then the braking part over here. That part sucked. Up to that, it wasn't so bad. It was exciting, especially the smashing part. But so then, I had to call an ambulance, and I don't know if you guys know it or not, but if you try to call an ambulance and you're not passing out, they say, take a taxi. I said, I'm getting a little dizzy, I want to pass out. We'll send an ambulance. Hey, worked out all right. Everybody complains about the Dutch. You go to the doctors, they say paracetamol. Brain cancer, paracetamol. Ambulance took one look at me, he said, you want some fentanyl? Yeah, exactly. Thank you, appreciate that. Fentanyl, that's a short way to a heroin addiction in the U.S., So I said no. Then my shoulder was like, take the fentanyl. So I did. It didn't actually help. 1-star drug, completely unimpressed. I got to the hospital, they said, would you like morphine? Which is an odd question. Would I like morphine? Yes! I would really like some morphine right about now. And morphine, 5-star drug. Highly recommend morphine. If anybody offers you morphine, you say yes. They offered me more morphine. I said yes. And I enjoyed the second morphine as well. And then they gave me Oxycontin. And everybody says you shouldn't take Oxycontin. So what else? They don't give me anything else. You can have paracetamol, which I'm taking. Oxycontin. And so I was only taking it to sleep. Because just to make sure. So I can take a couple naps a day now. Because it's a little bit of a sleep. But so Oxycontin, it's not so bad. I've kind of gotten used to it. But it was going well for a while, but then it kind of went crappy, and now I'm waiting for a CT scan, so maybe have an operation. So I stopped the Oxycontin, and I asked them, what's the prognosis? What do you think about this whole thing? And they told me that this is what they call a Helaas Pindakaas situation. Which is something that doesn't help when you explain what that means. Oh, well, peanut butter is like, what does that mean? Well, it's Dutch. It just is. And so I asked, could I get a second opinion? Because I already paid my Enlisco, and tried to get a more optimistic one. And I talked to another doctor, and he said, it comes good. Which every freaking person here has heard at some point when they have nothing else to say to you, it comes good. It's not even a sentence, you know what I mean? It comes good. You know the only time that's useful feedback? Is when you're shopping around for a male prostitute. How's that work?
Yeah.
Comes good. And the backside? Helaas pindakas. I don't think it's a good joke either, but it kind of writes itself. You gotta square the circle off there. But and another thing, again, normally I do a lot of expats, so it's a mixed crowd. Not just generally Dutch people, like usually about 25%. So it's really nice that you're coming to your own country, all the way out here in Zwolle. But I've explained to people the most confusing word in Dutch, if you've ever dated a Dutch person, you hang out here for a buitenlander. Again, one of my favorite words, outlander. So as a buitenlander, the word that I found the most confusing, and it applies to my situation, is and I hear myself saying that, wait for the train, and say, I don't even know where it came from, So, and it's a weird word. One of the worst times to hear that, though, is like after sex. How was that? It's still better than hearing it before sex. Just point that out. I hope you haven't heard that before sex. I'm a comedian, I've heard everything. But again, it's a culture thing. I'm Greek, and I'm an American. Woo, thank you so much. Leading the world, You ask every country, like you ask an American, what's the best country in the world? And they'll still say America. Ironic, right? We don't pay attention to news, world events, and we don't travel. So, it's like the British people. Also, same thing, they'll tell you England, best country in the world. Completely oblivious to the truth. But you ask like a Dutch person, what's the best country in the world? And I've done this. They always say, I don't know, I think. Hello? The Netherlands? Like, no. You think? Yeah, the weather sucks, the food's no good, but the rest of it's fantastic, Which is depressing, and on some level, when this is as good as it's going to get, you know what I mean? But it is, trust me, I've been outside the world, not everywhere, but I'm an American, I'm a traveler. And it's like my favorite word from Dutch, the one word that typifies the Netherlands in general, of course, is the word gezillig. And not only because it starts with a chach, it ends with a chach. It's got a zel in the middle, which is also really nice. But it means a warm, wonderful evening, you know what I mean? It could be suddenly raining outside, but in here together as a group, we make it all wonderful as a group, Which doesn't work in America, because trust me, there's at least 4 jerks, as many people, and I'll let you know. But again, it's something we have to do, we have to work at it, you know what I mean? As a society, it's like, you can't exactly, be gezillig by yourself. Your friend goes out on a boat, has a really good time, how was it? It was gezillig, What'd you do last night? I stayed home and I masturbated. It can be fun, but it's not exactly gezillig, unless you do it in a big group, which could be gezillig. I'm not putting anybody on that. But again, the words are such a confusing thing. That's why language is so cool. We all have our own languages. Like, I noticed the world is collapsing. That's the word for it, by the way. And I think people don't know why they search for politicians to save us, which makes sense. They're the one who created the problems. And but again, as a Greek, if you understand that, it's like this word politics, people have a different expectation for what it is. But if you understand the origin of the word, it makes more sense. Because politics comes from the Greek word poly, which means many, and ticks. A blood-sucking parasite that spreads diseases. Politics. It makes perfect sense now, you know what I mean? At least they're not killing us. Well, alright, at least they weren't killing us, but Anybody else got a pet monkey who's a little worried? Just me? No? No, the monkeypoxers in here. Anyway, another word again is the whole problem with this political garbage, that the concept of democracy itself is getting a bad name, which is again unfortunate, because if you haven't guessed, democracy is of course a Greek word. It comes from Davo, to try out, and Cristian, which is Greek for wine. Because what the people wanted, they just wanted to try some wine. They wanted a party is what it comes down to, because, that's why they call political groups now parties. Republican Party, it's like nobody parties like the Green Party parties. I've never gotten a cheer for the Green Party once, which is sort of a concern going forward. When I've been trying to figure out a way to make money recently, because I've kind of gotten injured and comedy pays a lot of money in beer. So I was trying to find a loophole for the whole concept, and that is stealing. I don't know if you've tried this or not. It cuts through the middleman. But it's dangerous. People hold on to their stuff, and I'm not in the great shape anymore. So I've been trying to start easy. So I've been stealing those walking sticks that the blind people use. Well, they never see it coming. And they're not going to come running after you, not without the stick. And if they go to the police, worst case scenario, they got nothing, without an eyewitness, they got nothing. The whole problem, though, is it's not really easy to sell those sticks because, there's not a lot of people looking for them. And if that's bad, I'm on Oxycontin. I've been on a lot of drugs. But anyway, my name is Socrates. You've been heel good. Find out what everybody is going to be.
Go for a fist.